Ladies and gentlemen, the American Jury and Bulldog Nation, I am honored to do an interview today. I should do more of these interviews. To be very candid with you, I just don't like to do interviews. My staff and my gang say do more interviews, do more interviews. So I make some exceptions every now and then, and I'll do an interview. And with me today is the one and only, the Honorable Robert Croskery. Good to see you, Robert.
Great to be seen, Bulldog.
Robert is a West Point grad. How old were you when you became a lawyer?
39.
39 years old. He's smarter than hell. He's smarter than I am. He's got a military background. What rank did you achieve in the Army?
I was Lieutenant Colonel when I retired.
Lieutenant Colonel. So you salute when you watch this. He is, for lack of a better word, one of his specialties in law has become employment law cases. I've always sent to him and his wife, who he practices law with, the lovely Melinda, intelligent Melinda, employment types cases. But in the past several months, Robert Croskery has been helping Drake Law work on a couple cases of great magnitude. And he has a client that's been in the news lately, and that is why he is here. So, Robert, thanks for giving us your time and attention to tell us about this case for the Bulldog Nation and the American Jury. By the way, you're going to laugh at this. The Durrani lawyers accused me of saying American Jury like I was talking to the jury, not realizing that I used that word for the public because I hate the overuse of the American people. So I call the American people the American Jury.
And you're right.
Isn't that witty and creative, Robert?
You are correct, because we all are jurors.
Correct.
We have to judge everything that we see, and right now a lot of what we see is bullshit.
Absolutely.
We gotta.
I'm going to let you just take this and run with it. For those people that might never have heard of the Darbi Boddy Lakota board controversy, tell us just talk about it. What is it? And what's your role in it?
All right. Darbi Boddy is a very, very lovely, energetic woman, beautiful woman, who ran for Lakota.
I would echo that. I've seen her on television.
Yeah, who ran for Lakota School Board and got 8,000 votes as a conservative, as a fighter for the rights of teachers, children, and particularly parents.
Now, what county is Lakota in Ohio?
Lakota is in Butler County.
Butler County, okay.
It's in Butler County. There's an East Lakota and there's a West Lakota School District.
Okay.
But what it amounts to is this. Darbi is extraordinarily successful at what she does. She is trying to keep critical race theory out of the schools. She is trying to advocate that boys should go to boys' bathrooms and girls to girls' bathrooms, that there should not be teachers trying to promote people to switch genders, doing it secretly without their parents knowing it. Darbi is a person who stands up for the rights of the parents, who have been spat upon and scorned oftentimes by the teachers' unions and sometimes by school boards.
Is this like this national issue that's in the national debate coming home in Lakota, and Darbi has taken up the cause that we all believe in?
Exactly. You are right. You are very you have perception on it.
Okay.
Your perception is absolutely right.
Okay. That
this is what they're doing to Trump, in a sense, coming home into a local district. Now, in one sense, it was simply an incident of, there are lots of things that involve Darbi Boddy. So let's go through a few of them.
Yeah.
When Darbi Boddy got elected, and it became clear that she would be a lightning rod that attracted attacks from the left.
She was not going to be a wallflower.
Correct. And she's attracted a lot of dirty tricks. I'll go through a couple of them. At the outset, she went into a school to take pictures, and she didn't want to be escorted. There's a law in Florida that says you cannot force school board members to be escorted around. And in Ohio, there was not such a law, but there were some guidelines.
A school board member doing her job, gathering facts and information, wants to go to a school and take pictures.
All right.
That sounds like an awful thing, Robert.
Well, they kept her from doing it after her first time doing it, and here's what happened. She goes through a particular school, and she's taking pictures of rainbow flags, she's taking pictures of things that hint of the darkness that is to come. And as she's walking through the corridors doing this, taking these pictures, she spots a student, a female student who's a high school student, who is dressed extremely provocatively. Let's just leave it at that. So she takes a picture of that student, not for use in posting anywhere, but that she can confront the principal and say, hey, what are you folks doing about these dress code violations? Well, the left hated her so much that the superintendent at that time, Matt Miller, released the videotape. Remember, all these students are videotaped in the corridors all day long, every day.
Correct.
So they are criticizing Darbi for taking a picture of a student when actually she was.
And by the way, the superintendent makes that public. It wasn't her.
Correct. It was the superintendent that made it public. And then there's a way and cry and announce to the media, oh, what a terrible person Darbi Boddy is. There's calls for her to resign. The school board censures her for taking this picture when she was doing her job. And what's more, they sent her a letter that was supposedly from a police officer. That's what the media said. It wasn't. It was from a school resource officer from the superintendent who wrote out a letter saying the way you came into that school was trespassing. That's baloney. She was doing her job.
So a school board member, it would seem to me no matter what school board you're talking about, no matter what school district you're talking about, that if you're elected by the people to be a school board member, you ought to be able to walk in any damn school you want.
You would think so. You would think so. So anyway,
problem with the world.
This is where I get involved with
Okay.
Darbi Boddy
All right.
because I get called up and I get
Your
fired.
reputation preceded yourself. You get referred to her. You get a call. Go ahead.
So somehow or other, Darbi Boddy gets in touch with me. And so I sent a letter back to the board that essentially says this trespassing letter is full of crap. She was doing her job. The policy says that she can go to the schools on official business. You know what they do? They change the definition of official business. And now they say that the only official business can be attending school board meetings or particular meetings. So they changed the definition after I sent the letter.
And Robert, do we not learn in law school that you cannot pass on any level laws that are called ex post facto laws?
Correct. You cannot. However,
That means a law after the fact.
the school board can change its policy, but notice.
But it can't be applied
Correct.
in the past. All right.
They never did prosecute her for trespassing
Right.
because she wasn't trespassing.
Right.
And as for that release of the video that supposedly did such damage to this child involved, such damage
That the superintendent made an issue of.
made released, and there was actually a connection between the superintendent and the woman he released a video to, a very close connection. He had hired her for certain. We won't go into it because I don't want it to lead back to the child.
So anyway, continue the saga
But anyway,
of Darbi Boddy.
That is saga number one of how the left tried to get Darbi Boddy. It was unsuccessful. There were others. There was a time when Darbi Boddy made a mistake. She typed an extra T in a website that she was posting as an example of bad stuff. Well, she gets a call about an hour and a half after she's posted this. I think it was on Facebook. And her friend says, hey, you've got the wrong site up there. She went back, she checked, and it had an extra T. So she fixed it within an hour and a half. All of a sudden, the next attack from the left is Darbi Boddy is posting pornography. And even if you looked at the site, it was
Do you know, and I hope they've corrected this. There was a time, Robert, that if you Googled White House, it went to a porn site. I mean, I'm just saying it. There's some crazy stuff out there. But yeah, right. So they malign her some more. Go ahead.
Yeah, they malign her some more. And again, it's the same BS because she took it down right away as soon as she found out about it. And the point she was making was absolutely right, which is that the schools are allowing things in the school that should not be allowed. They're allowing pornography in school libraries. They're allowing stuff in school libraries all across this country that you could not read on the air.
Crazy.
In fact, they've been read in board meetings. So
Crazy.
So at this point, the left really, really hates my client. Now, next thing that happens is she gets a civil protective order filed against her by actually a conservative that she had run with named Isaac Adie. And this civil
Basis.
Well, the stated basis for the order, if you look at the petition, was that Darbi Boddy had harassed Mr. Adie on 3 separate occasions in Florida at a conference.
My
It
God.
was a conservative liberty conference.
Buck up.
So
Isn't he a big old strong man, strapping young man?
he is, but
Jeez.
I make no criticism of Mr. Adie.
Okay, go
Trust me.
ahead.
So
I will.
So we go back to this this conference. Now, the conference takes place in Florida, Sarasota, Florida. It's a conservative conference. And on 3 separate occasions, Darbi Boddy gets up and says, Isaac Adee is no conservative because he supported Superintendent Matt Miller. And Superintendent Matt Miller had a significant problem.
Wait a minute. Did I not? This is all popping in my mind. Isn't Matt Miller the guy? Was it swinging or something like that? I mean, Matt Miller, what was it?
Well, what he did
in simple terms.
What he did with consenting adults is between him and his.
I agree.
But
it was still kind of funny that he without sin cast the first stone.
Well,
Matt Miller had sin.
All right. So, but that wasn't what really
Okay.
got Darbi upset. What was upset is that Matt Miller, when he was interviewing with a Butler County investigator, a sheriff.
Yeah, big investigator. They spent lots of money on legal fees for this investigation.
No, actually, this was the one where it was with the sheriff.
Oh, okay.
Sheriff's doing an investigation and interviews Matt Miller. And Matt Miller says, well, he has pillow talk with his wife that involves sexually molesting and drugging teenagers.
That's what it was.
That's what it was.
That's what it was.
So to Darbi Boddy, the fact that you would have pillow talk with your wife about something like that
Creepy
disqualifies
stuff.
you to be a superintendent.
Absolutely.
I mean, there may
Is
be...
he still there?
No.
Okay, good.
Soon after, and he says it was because of pressure from Darbi Boddy, which is correct, he resigned.
Thank God for Darbi Boddy protecting the kids from Matt Miller and his pillow talk.
But had it not been for Darbi Boddy, Matt Miller would still be in office, no doubt. And because the left loved Matt Miller for reasons I won't go into, they really, really hate Darbi Boddy. In fact, if you look on the Boddy for Lakota website, you will find hundreds and hundreds of fake, obscene profiles that are criticizing her. You will find them.
I've been a victim of that.
Yeah.
These cowards create fake Facebook.
Exactly.
The Thomas Massey Nasties do it to me. You know, they create these names.
Yeah.
They're a bunch of chicken shits. Anyway, go ahead.
Anyway, I'd be glad to talk to anyone who's making these fake names.
Okay.
And
Right.
I will engage in an honest debate and discussion with anybody. I really will. I do not.
I go a little further than you. I think they should bring back dueling. There'd be less of this crap going on if 2 consenting adults could duel. Go ahead.
All right. Anyway, so we come down to this civil protective order. Now, some parts of it I cannot talk about. What I can talk about, I can't talk about what Darbi and I have discussed.
Right. Attorney-client privilege, folks.
But what I can talk about is what was in the petition, what has happened afterwards. Now, you recall I said they're at a conservative conference. And at this conservative conference, Darbi Boddy steps up on 3 occasions and says essentially this: Isaac Adee should not be here. He's not really a conservative. He supported masks and lockdowns.
Facts and opinion in a public forum.
He supported Matt Miller, whom I regard as a pedophile superintendent. And in any case, she says this because she wants to exert pressure on Isaac to change his mind. And in fact, that's what the finding is in the opinion that granted the civil protective order, that he was being harassed. Now, there are 2 major.
So this was a protection order based on words?
Basically, there are 2 other incidents.
All right, go
and
ahead.
in both of the other 2 incidents, which happened after school board meetings, Isaac Adee was being videoed, or my client was attempting to video Isaac Adee making statements that he had made before.
In a public place?
In a public place,
Okay.
outside the school board meeting. So every single one of the incidents that has been cited is a public figure being recorded or being criticized. Now,
And do you see how the media takes it?
Yes, I do.
When you get a civil protection order, ooh, what did they do? What did they do? It's like me. I had to plead guilty to menacing. You know what menacing is?
Yeah, I do.
Scaring somebody.
Yeah.
I meant to scare my nephew. Anyway, go ahead.
all right. So here's what's absolutely outrageous about this. Number 1, Darbi Boddy's a public figure.
Yes,
Number 2, Isaac Adee is a public figure.
Yes.
They're both elected officials.
correct.
Number 3, on the standing cross-examination, Mr. Adee admitted that a public figure can expect criticism, can expect being lied about. Now, first of all, I don't think Darbi Boddy was telling
Right.
lies. But secondly,
But you use that to show the parameters of what's expected.
yeah, you're a public figure. People are going to talk bad about you.
Man, You know what? I always say this, Robert. People can call you and me. I'm more of a public figure than you, but they can say he's a lousy guy. He's an asshole. All those things. You just can't say something fact specific that's defamatory that's not true. I always use the example of pedophile. Now you could say pedophile on Matt Miller and it'd be true, but relative to me, if somebody said Eric Deters a convicted pedophile, I would sue their ass because I'm a public figure. I would go after him. But I understand exactly what you're saying. He is expected to take some abuse. Go ahead.
Anyway, let's come back to the exact things. In order to get civil stalking in Ohio, you have to have a pattern of conduct. You have to have incidents that are closely related in time. The only ones he has that are closely related in time are those three in Florida. Now, do you see a problem here?
Yes.
You got an
jurisdiction.
You got an Ohio magistrate.
Jurisdiction.
And the law of stalking in Florida is different than the law of stalking in Ohio. It's
Absolutely.
stricter. It has elements of willfulness and malice in Florida, neither of which was explored in this first hearing. Now, I didn't explore it or need to because as a lawyer, Eric, you know this, jurisdiction can be raised
At any time.
at any stage.
It could boomerang on your ass at the most inopportune time.
So rather than my raising it during that hearing, Eric,
You sandbagged him.
I said, if we ever get this protective order, and I'm not going to criticize Magistrate Reed. I know he did his job to the best of his ability with the information in front of him, as any judge does. But I will say this, I believe he made a clear error of law by assuming jurisdiction over matters that took place in Florida and using them to establish a civil stalking violation in Ohio. And I suspect that the Court of Appeals will see things my way, although I've been wrong before, and may be wrong again. But to me, it's a very clear error of law. Now, let's go to the next problem here. The way this order was used was clear to me. It was intended to disenfranchise Darbi Boddy's voters, those 8,000 people that voted for her and wanted a conservative voice on the board. So in the civil protection...
Same thing happened to Trump. That's damager. Go ahead.
All right. So when this civil protective order was granted, I will tell you, I was flabbergasted. I didn't think there was any way on God's green earth that the magistrate
You told me that.
would find in that direction, but he did. So the first thing I did was look at the law.
Doesn't mean it's right.
The law, Rule 65.1, gives the appellate court immediate jurisdiction over a civil protection order. So therefore, looking at that rule, I filed a motion, an emergency motion for her to attend school board meetings. And I filed that motion in the Court of Appeals because they had jurisdiction. 2 days later, the administrative judge of the Court of Appeals, Judge Hedrickson, put a ruling down that said this must first be filed as a motion for stay, because that's what you're asking for, in the trial court. So I took the same motion, reworked it a little bit, filed a motion for stay in the trial court. The attorney for Mr. Adi filed a motion to strike my motion for a stay because the court didn't have jurisdiction.
You were just following what the Court of Appeals told you to do.
Exactly. The Court of Appeals said said the trial court had jurisdiction, so I did what they said to do. The trial court waited for something else. There was nothing besides the motion to strike, no response. And basically what I said in my motion is there have been 3 school board meetings since this protecting order.
And how ridiculous is it to not let her attend school board meetings? She was voted in to attend school board meetings.
Yeah.
And like he was in danger.
Well, you got the police there, you got the public there, and there had been 3 meetings. And in fact, they had seconded each other's motions and had voted without any problem, which is exactly what you're supposed to do. And you cannot do your job as a school board member without being there.
So what was the outcome of that?
Well, my stay was successfully granted.
And she attended the school board meeting Monday.
She did, but it wasn't without one more issue. The attorney for the other side filed a motion to strike the stay, filed a motion to vacate the stay and have another hearing, to which I responded, they don't get a second bite at the apple. They had their hearing. They put forth anything that they thought was relevant to it. I've given you the fact that there were 3 school board meetings. It's in the public interest that my client be able to attend them during the pendency of the appeal.
Absolutely.
That doesn't mean that the civil protective order is lifted. If she sees him, she's not seeking him out. She's not hunting down.
I mean, this is not the traditional stalking, harassing, threatening, verbal abuse, physical abuse, showing up at your house,
She has never
following you around.
She has never threatened him. She has never.
What a bunch of bullshit.
But in any case,
she's got to pay you. She got to pay legal fees to fight it all.
She has had to pay huge legal fees, and that's with me discounting it substantially because it's taken a lot of attorneys.
It's what you get for hiring an expensive lawyer, Darby.
Yeah, there is that. But I like to think I do my job to the best of my ability.
Yes, you do.
And you've hired me too.
Absolutely.
So when it comes all down to it, this is, in my opinion, something that it is a wrong that will be righted eventually by the American justice system, as I see it.
What's the next step in it all?
Well, we go through the appeal. In the appeal, I give the arguments to the Court of Appeals I just gave to you. Magistrate doesn't have jurisdiction. This is these are two public figures. It is public speech, which is the most protected speech in the world under American law.
I have to tell you a little, I'm going to tell it to you succinctly and concisely. The funniest story I've ever had relative to jurisdiction. I represented a famous Bengal cheerleader who was a school teacher who was engaged with a student who later became her husband. They're still married and got 3 kids. But at the time, she was charged in Kenton County with Kentucky has this statute. It wasn't statutory rape because he was 17, but a teacher and coach or an influencer if they're 17, which, by the way, I still was looking forward to challenge that constitutionally because how can you have statutory rape at 16 and another law at 17? But get this, you're going to love this. They could never prove that anything happened in Kenton County. Ever proving Kenton. So I was mocking the prosecutor all the way up to the trial. And they would always say, well, did she or didn't she? I'd said, they can't prove this case. You know, the way I phrase it, they will never prove this case. And I was mocking the prosecutor. The weekend before the trial, the prosecutor decided to give us the deal that we wanted. No jail time, felony probation. But this is classic. This will be in my autobiography.
Well done.
So you're gonna love this, okay? So I know the case is going to, if we go to trial, I know it's going to get dismissed on jurisdiction. When I asked the alleged victim or my client to testify, where did the act take place? And it was going to be in Claremont County was the act took place. It didn't take place in Kenton County. And I was going to move to dismiss. So before the trial, I call up my friend, professional friend at the time, Don White, who at the time was the prosecutor in Claremont County the weekend before the trial. And I said, hey, Don, how you doing? I'm doing good, Eric. What's up? I said, listen, I'm going to be trying this case this coming week involving blah, blah. And he knew all about it. And I said, it's going to get dismissed. I know it's going to get dismissed because it didn't happen in Kenton County. It happened in your county. The first thing the media's going to do, Don, is call you and say, what are you going to do about this now, Don? And Don White, great guy, goes, does the kid care? No. Does his parents care? I said, no. He goes, and I don't care. So they were going to, so I knew after it got dismissed, the media was going to call Don White and say, are you going to file charges? And Don White was going to go, nope. So I had this all lined up. But isn't that a great jurisdiction? Because they had messages and whatnot that proved something happened, but they couldn't prove where it happened. Isn't that a great jurisdiction story?
Yeah, that is a great story. But I got to say in this
But Darbi, bro, you know what? It is a classic. To get serious about this, Darbi Boddy represents, it's an example of what I go through, what Trump goes through, what everybody goes through. They go after Rudy Giuliani's law license. They go through Lynn Wood's law license. They go after Eastman's law license. They don't go after these other law licenses. And you pay a price in this country, including Butler County, for being a conservative who fights back. Why?
You do.
The education system is liberal and woke. The media is woke, including in Cincinnati area.
Amen.
Everything is woke, woke, woke. And you fight all of that. And they try to not just beat you, they try to destroy you because they're all part of the American
masters of dirty tricks.
They're masters of dirty tricks.
If you look up my reviews.
Well, they try to spin stuff to make it, it's.
I'll give you an example. You look up Google me. You will find every client I've ever had has given me 5 stars. The ones I've won verdicts for have given me 5 stars. And there's a couple of 1-star reviews. They're not my clients. They've never been my clients. They say things like,
isn't that something?
Politics are terrible. They say,
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Isn't that something?
And so I look at that stuff and I laugh. It just shows.
Well, see, now you get, because you represent her, then they attack you. The price you pay.
I'm a big boy. I'm an Army. People have shot at me. I really could give a damn what somebody who's a left puke, an anti-American.
I call them pukes, yuck yucks.
Somebody that lives in the basement of their parents.
Right.
That hasn't done anything, doesn't know how to work with their hands. To me, a man works with his hands.
Right. We've had that conversation.
Yeah. So to me, somebody that has not proven that they are worthy of my time does not get my time.
Right.
Darbi Boddy, because she is an upstanding American, is worthy of my time.
Right.
She's worthy of the talents that God gave me, because God did give me some talents. He didn't make me as good looking as you, Eric, but he gave me some.
Not everybody can be as good looking as me. It's the luck of the draw, Robert.
It is, So, and hey, I married a gorgeous woman. What can I say?
You lucked out. It must have been your charm.
Sometimes it's better to be lucky.
Or your Irish heritage.
Well, there is that.
What's that Irish organization you belong to?
I've been the president of the Friendly Sons of St. Patrick. Yeah.
I need to join up to that. Of course, I don't have any time, but listen, folks, I want to tell you something. This guy right here is gold. He's gold brains, gold ethics. I'll be candid with you. He kind of pisses me off a little bit about his ethics. Would it shock you that I might push the envelope some? This guy don't push the envelope. I'm just teasing. Anyway, I'm glad Darbi Boddy is in great hands. Thanks for coming in.
My pleasure.
And we'll keep you posted, and we'll put this out and spread it everywhere we can. Now, I got to make a little dig at my former buddy.
Wait a minute. Wait. Isaac Adi, we wish him well.
We wish him well. We wish you well, Isaac.
I do.
Now, I understand. How long has this been, Josh?
10, 15 minutes.
Willie only gave you 2? Shame on you, Willie. As your official biographer, you're Jack Wagon of the day. This is the Bulldog. Every dog has their day. Have a great one.
Cool.